Recording in progress.
In a world where quality business information is needed, we bring you On the Mic with Mike, the leading social enterprise business show in RVA. Join Mike King, the partnership guru, as he delivers game changers in Metro RVA. On the Mic with Mike showcases how business can help make society better. He discusses tech, culture, innovation, best business practices, and highlighting area nonprofits. Join Mike Monday through Friday, because it is the place where the best and brightest come to chat.
Hi, my name is Zach, and today we're on the Mike King Radio Takeover Edition. Today we're here with Chris Weldon and Kara Moran.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
That's great. Thanks, Zach. Welcome, everybody. This is the Mike King Takeover Edition. Chris Weldon with Kara Moran. We're going to talk about interesting things to help your business. By way of background, I operate as an entrepreneur and investor, and most recently have done a number of turnarounds of companies to basically help people improve their operations and profitability. And the purpose of this program is to kind of give people some lessons learned out there in the business world. And today we've got Kara, who's we're lucky to have join us. Thank you, Kara, for coming.
Thank you for the invitation. This is super cool. And I'm Kara Moran. I am president of Suffolk Chemical, vice president of Suffolk Sales and Service. We are a family-owned heavy industrial chemical business. Kind of a fun fact, we've been in the business since 1939. Our family has been. My father established these companies that I work for now in 1989. We have 6 family members that work with us, which is really cool and kind of unique. And then I also have the pleasure of serving on the Virginia Council on Women, which is a gubernatorial appointment, and I love my colleagues and the work that we do.
Right, and today, we're lucky to have you, and it's, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. There's a couple of interesting topics we want to hit on today. And a bunch of new research and studies have come out post-pandemic about how we work differently, how the world has changed. And there's a couple that I wanted to bring up. So the first one is, as it relates to women, they're dropping out of the workforce at probably a record rate, and even in the C-suite, it's still happening. What's going on with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so since the pandemic, about 1.1 million women have left the workforce, and definitely C-suite positions. A lot of that had to do with the lack of childcare during the pandemic and the schools closing, as well as childcare facilities. We already had a little bit of a fractured system, and definitely didn't have enough reasonable childcare options or affordable childcare options to begin with, but the pandemic really pushed us kind of over the edge. So we did lose a tremendous amount of women, but not all of them have entered the workforce back, or they haven't gone back to work, or they're not going back into the same industries that they were in before. And I also think that a lot of women realized along the way that maybe some of the stressors of those C-suite positions may not have been completely worth it.
So is it as simple as burnout, or is there something different? Are we redefining how we think about work in general?
Well, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that there's definitely some burnout that has taken place during the pandemic. There's 25%, only 25% of the C-suite and leadership and direct role positions right now are women, and only 5% of that 25% are women of color. And so I think with working every single day, doing the job correctly, and then on top of it, women are supposed to help solve the gender pay gap and make sure that promotions, there's equity in promotions, as far as selecting the women that are going to go into these director roles. And I think that it's a lot. There's for every one woman that's being elevated in business right now, 2 are leaving. And I think that if you look at the end result of that, it's going to really affect the talent pipeline in the future. And kind of, those leadership roles, if all the women are leaving, then what is the younger generation, or many of the women are leaving, what's the next generation going to see? And is that leadership going to be diverse enough?
What do you think that they want in the workplace to re-enter? What needs to change, or what would be appealing and attractive in the change in the structure, maybe?
I think that women really genuinely want to feel like they're being heard in the workplace, and know that they're working for companies that have a commitment to making changes, and supporting women. And I also, when 1.1 million women left the workforce during the pandemic, then you had other women that were still in the workforce, and they started making lateral or moves upward, but there was a lot of changing of companies as well too.
Yeah, and I think that, being heard, and, it reminds me of something that was brought up recently. Someone asked me, as a part of my turnaround activities, like when you go and you help a company that's stumbling a little bit, they asked me, what's the biggest thing that you see in all of these companies? And I said, well, the biggest, like the most economic impactful thing is when you're being disrupted. And we did a show a couple weeks ago on disruption and how you tackle that. But that's not the most consistent thing. I would say in 10 out of 10 situations that I see, it's culture-related issues that are preventing the business from pivoting or performing. And calling it culture is kind of a broad term, but it's really, if you have a workforce who's not engaged and you're asking them to pivot into a new direction, it's going to be hard to do that. And I think from that base of a strong culture, I think now more than ever, you need to have a focus on workplace empathy. There's a lot of other studies. One that just came out yesterday saying that the number of people diagnosed with depression just hit a record. It's 10% increase over, I think, the last study. And it's like 30% of the country. 30% of the country has been diagnosed at some point with depression. So how can you create a culture and an empathetic workforce to help and improve?
Well, and it's interesting that you would say that, because in February of 2023, one of the highest requests for motivational speakers was empathy and leadership and empathy in the workplace. And there's a lot of data that proves that empathy builds trust, inclusivity. I think that, and with the mental health, like you're saying, depression and all of the stress at work, I think it's going to be it is already one of the new topics, and learning to lead with more of an empathetic, personality. And it's like a new thing that there are a lot of interesting articles out about it right now. And I do think it's going to affect the bottom line. You're going to have lower turnover rates, which high turnover is never good for your bottom line. And I just think there is a lot of benefit to leading.
It almost feels like they need, do business schools have electives on empathetic leadership and building? HR is pretty much tasked with a lot of that, but you really need every manager to toe that line and behave in a way that promotes that, not just one department. It has to be throughout your organization for you to ask those people to do difficult things and still be happy and effective at home. And you're right, the childcare thing, it's all bubbling up. What else? You're working on something interesting related to mental health in general, aren't you?
I am, but I did want to mention one other thing, if we can go back for 1 second, because I think it's really worth noting that right now there are a lot of articles out about women kind of redefining ambition and success and what that really means. And I think that the original definitions were really based on, salary, title, power, and a lot of women that have moved away from the C-suite positions, I think they're starting to realize it's just not worth the mental stress of it all, and that the actual idea of ambition and success is being redefined. And I think that's really cool moving forward. There's a lot of really awesome things that could come out of that, and it'll be really interesting to watch. So everybody needs to definitely just look for that, because I don't think these women just aren't retiring. They're working behind closed doors. A lot of angel startup support and things like that. Angel investors, leadership roles.
Are there any trends in how you redefine ambition and success? Is there anything that's any kind of topic or movement that's kind of getting to or is it early?
I think it's early, but I'm seeing there's a lot of women that have left, that are doing their own startups, and business oriented. And I think but also, I read one article, there was a woman that she stepped away from her C-suite position and moved out, and she's starting a farm with her husband, working remotely, and but also working on her business online. So I think there's going to be some really cool things happening. I am a little worried about the generation behind us, though, not seeing a diverse enough C-suite.
Right. It feels like something that should have, a lot more progress should have been made over the years, you know, and we talked briefly about, you know, expanding the table and getting the right people at the table. It's interesting.
And so to your question about the other thing we've been working on, the Virginia Council on Women, we have some really cool projects. Definitely follow us on Facebook. We work, it's a gubernatorial appointment, so we work for the governor. One of the things that we do is we have legislative recommendations we work every year on for him. And then we also have a STEAM H essay contest, which we just finished wrapping up, and that was amazing. I mean, the girls, the essays, everything was, we have so many talented young women in Virginia that are going to be going into STEAM H. But one of the things that this administration has done is they're doing a very attainable goal 3-year program to deconstruct and reconstruct how we handle behavioral health and mental health crisis in Virginia. The plan is called the Right Help Right Now plan. There's 6 pillars that are involved in that. And I think that also is very timely with some of the mental health, mental health coming to the forefront in the business community and having it addressed on a business community wise. But also, you know, that this is Mental Health Awareness Month, like you mentioned. And but I think it's like the plan says, right help right now. We are way overdue for this. And that is something we're going to be helping push out and elevate on our Facebook page, and one of the things we'll be working on with the governor this year.
And they're proposing putting in real dollars into this program.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I believe, and don't quote me on this, I believe it's over $600 million with the budget amendments starting from last year, and this year they just put another $230 million into part of the plan. A couple of the things that, and I did get an update yesterday from the office that they're going to be offering like same-day care for behavioral health crisis by deploying 30 new mobile units throughout Virginia. They're expanding capacity to serve people, strengthening support, and getting the message out about overdosing and substance abuse, and then also the fentanyl crisis that we're challenged with right now. The First Lady is very passionate about bringing awareness to that as well too.
Yeah, and that's just amazing how that epidemic is just on a tear right now. And as a parent of young kids, you know, it's something you need to get on top of to really understand some of that. And admittedly, I'm not. I mean, it's something I definitely need to do more research on for sure. So that's great. Well,
and you know, also that we have a 988 crisis hotline now for mental health or any type of behavioral health crisis, and I think that just watching what Virginia is going to do now, it's perfect timing. And so I think there's going to be some interesting things coming out from the administration, and they're trying very hard to just reconstruct it so that we can help more people.
And the 988 is definitely there. It's live now. 988, yes. That part's that's there. Mm-hmm. And then what you hopefully we'll see is, you know, more resources going forward for people to get help. Because I was shocked. If it's really a third of your company is suffering from depression at some point, mm-hmm. and you're not offering things at work, you know, this definitely has to be dealt with, and it will just improve profits and improve everyone's lives in the community.
Well, and also keep in mind, a lot of the women that left the workforce in general, they were also in health, and as that was the industry that they were in. So nurses, right. Doctors, psychiatrists, they were in health, and they haven't returned. So what can we do as a Commonwealth to bring those women back to work, and what do we have to do to make it, it work, for sure.
That's great. Well, Kara, thanks for sharing some of this, and thank you, Zach, for the Mike King Takeover.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
To join your show. Thanks very much, everyone.
And thank you, Mike King.